Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What can this slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm gonna burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump discontinues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you. Bettor Off Dead, Monday, August 25th. Is that what it is? Yesterday, another winning day. So I'll take that, obviously. Probably should have been a little bit better than it wound up being. It was a 2-1-1 day on the show yesterday. We got the Baltimore Orioles correct with the money line. It was a close game. I think they had the lead for more of the game than they didn't, and they wound up pulling it off with a close win. The Toronto-Miami first 5 under was probably the most irritating one because that was in the bag, dude. That was a 1-0 game into the bottom of the 5th inning, and then Gausman kind of imploded and gave up 3 runs to Miami, all in the bottom of the 5th. I mean, you have a game, you have to get it under 4, and it's a 1-0 game with a half an inning left. That's almost guaranteed that you're going to hit that one, and that one lost. So that was actually pretty brutal, a bad beat. I'd be even more pissed if it lost, but at least if you got the 4, it was a push. But if you had 3.5 on that one, that was really brutal. And then the game wound up, I believe, going over for the full game, so pretty brutal. We did get the Cubs Anaheim under 5.5 in the first 4 correct. I think it landed on 5. I think it was a 4-1 game at that point. So it was maybe slightly dicey, but it did hit. And then we had the loser was the A's Seattle under in the first 5. Jacob Lopez had a really bad game for once, just kind of inexplicably. I don't know what happened with him there, but that was the one actual loss. We move on to today. We'll have 4 more baseball plays today, even though it's kind of a shorter baseball card today. Today's basically all baseball, man. So that is what we're going with here. It's all baseball. Let me see if I can share the screen here. Hang on. I have multiple windows open. It's kind of annoying. I don't know why it's still it's showing me looking at my own screen. What is happening here? Hang on. What? I think I was sharing the StreamYard screen. That's probably really sketchy, actually. But now you can see all my bets. Oops. All right. There we go. Technical difficulties. Me being an idiot, I mean. Here we go. Let's jump right into today, man. We have 2 WNBA games, both with double-digit spreads. Not going to want anything to do with these. We do have Connecticut at New York. The Liberty have actually not been playing well recently, and they've actually fallen 2 games behind first place in the East now. As they've fallen behind the Dream by 2 games as they lost to the Dream in the last game, which was a big game. Maybe they'll be a little bit hungover coming off of that game, and they are returning home as well, playing against Connecticut. Connecticut playing maybe a little bit better than they were earlier. I mean, they've won 3 games in a row, but against the other 2 worst teams in the conference, Washington and Chicago. So this is definitely a big-time step up for them. Will they show up? Yes, probably. And the Liberty are down from 14-11. I think this has to do with the injury situation here. The Liberty have a lot of players on the injured list right now, or listed as game-time decisions. Stewart, Ionescu. I mean, this could be a bit of an issue for them. So I think that's part of the reason why the line moved down. They still should win this game, but asking them to cover a double-digit number like that, I'm not so sure, man, although you might be getting a little bit more value on it now just because of the injury question marks that are there. Vegas is also a double-digit favorite at Chicago, 10.5-point favorite here. Chicago, they just lost to Connecticut at home, which is a pretty embarrassing loss. I mean, Chicago is now for the first time actually tied with Connecticut in the standings, and I guess they've lost the tiebreaker, so they're considered to be behind them in the standings, which is pretty embarrassing. So they'll probably at least want to kind of step up and show up for this game. Vegas is on a hot streak right now. They've won 10 games in a row, I believe. They're traveling between Washington and Chicago here. Vegas, they're up in second place now, and I think they want to make sure that they're going to get like the best seeding that they can in the playoffs at least. So they do have reason to continue playing as well. I probably would not lay the 10.5 on the road, though. I mean, it probably would make more sense to actually grab Chicago plus the points in the embarrassed spot there, but we're not going to do anything with that. We're going to do some baseball here while we await the rest of football. As I don't think football, we have anything else until 3 days from now. We have some Thursday college football, actually a ton of Thursday college football, so I guess we're going to have to prepare for that shit. And then we got NFL coming up on not until next Thursday. So NFL on hiatus here. Let's jump into MLB here, man. Every game's in the evening today. Boston, Baltimore, I'm going to skip for now because I have a play on that one. If you know how I handicap games, you'll probably already know what it is. Atlanta, Miami, I do have somewhat of a lean in this game, but we can look at it because I'm not going to give out a play on this one. Atlanta is coming off a win over the Mets. So Atlanta, I mean, they have nothing left to play for, and neither does Miami at this point, although Atlanta, they may at least want to play for some semblance of pride here and not want to continue to be behind Miami, so maybe they do have a motivational aspect to this game. For that reason, I think Miami probably will show up as well just because Atlanta tends to be one of the better teams in the division, and they're coming into their place. Atlanta broke a little bit of a loss streak yesterday. It was a big win over the Mets, so I think that's a bigger game than what this Miami game would be. So Atlanta might be feeling a little bit high on themselves, maybe in a little bit of a letdown spot coming into this one, having to travel in from home, though, I think, right? Yeah, so Atlanta is starting a road trip, so sometimes that is actually a focus spot because you want to get off on the road trip on the right foot. Miami staying at home, and they did just beat Toronto yesterday, which I think that'll just give them a little bit of confidence. So I think the spot is a little bit better for Miami here. I actually think Miami might even have the slightly better bullpen at this point, but they do have the more rested bullpen coming into this game slightly, using a bit fewer relievers yesterday at least. At this point, I don't even know if Atlanta has the better offense, to be honest. Atlanta, they're at 15th, Miami 17th, so again, it's really close in OPS team-wise. Starting pitching, I think it's pretty clear that one of these pitchers is in a lot worse recent form than the other, and that is Atlanta's Spencer Strider, who normally is a pretty good pitcher, but he tried to come back from injury this year. He definitely looked like his old self for a while, and he was pitching really well, but he has just imploded this month, and his numbers have gotten atrocious this month. Overall, this season now, just because of what he's done this month, basically. He went from having like a 3-something ERA and a whip below 1.2 up to an ERA of 5.24 and a whip of 1.43. I mean, that's ridiculous. He has a bad 5.75 road ERA as well, so he's bad on the road. His numbers this month have gotten so bad that they're almost unbelievable. In 3 starts, he has a 15.43 ERA this month, which is ridiculous. He's allowed 5 or more runs in all 3 starts. Took a loss in all 3. Didn't make it through the 5th inning in any of them. Most egregiously, last time out, he allowed 7 earned runs to a very weak White Sox lineup. Does have a 10-4 strikeout walk ratio this month, but he's allowed just an outrageous 29 hits in 11 2/3 innings. In addition to the 20 earned runs, 7 home runs as well this month. He's in about as bad form as you'll ever see. So, will he bounce back? I don't know, because Miami isn't really that good of an offense, and Miami's actually somehow never seen Strider before, even though he's in their division. Don't know how that is the case, but it is. So Strider at least does have an unfamiliarity edge with the Marlins, so they might have to adjust to try to figure him out. So that's the one thing that gives me a little bit of hesitation, because I was looking at Miami as the play in this game. Miami has Edward Cabrera pitching, who clearly has been better than Strider this season. 3.52 ERA, 1.22 whip. He's pitching pretty well. A little bit better at home, 3.22 ERA at home. Last couple of starts, he has not been that good, though, with a 10-4 strikeout walk ratio, which is the same that Strider has all month, which is ridiculous. So Cabrera's strikeout rate is way better this month. But Cabrera's allowed 9 runs across 9 2/3 innings the last couple of times out against Cleveland and St. Louis. So that's not really a good sign. But the start before that, he absolutely dominated this Atlanta Braves team, went 8 innings, allowing 1 earned run on 2 hits, 11 strikeouts, 1 walk. So he did dominate the Braves last time out, although it does mean the Braves just saw him. But this month, he still does have a 4.18 ERA, which is mediocre. It's good considering how bad he was in the last 2 outings. 30-6 strikeout walk ratio. So that tells me he's still in good form, man. His walk rate really hasn't gone up this month. I mean, if anything, it's gone a bit down. So that's a good sign. Up against the Braves, his numbers are good. In 67 at-bats, 28-8 strikeout walk ratio, 149 batting average allowed, 524 OPS. So it wasn't just the recent start for him that was good. He just generally is good against Atlanta. So I do lean to Miami in this game, although the money seems like it's coming back on the Atlanta side after they dropped from -125 to -107 on the money line. 89% of the cash on Atlanta, with 64% of the tickets on Miami. I don't really understand that. Don't understand what the professional money is doing there. And the money seems to be coming in on the under as well. It's dropped on the total to 7.5, 79% of the tickets on the over, 82% of the cash on the under. I don't necessarily disagree with an under. I mean, you could consider maybe avoiding the bullpens and going first 5, but you'd probably have to get a really low total. Like, you probably wouldn't be able to find the 4 out there, which is, is what I look for in the first 5. I'm not necessarily sure I disagree with an under because Strider could certainly bounce back here, but the Strider unknown is what really worries me about handicapping this game, because he could do well or he could do really badly. So it depends on which you think, right? Like, is his unfamiliarity and his ceiling, are those things going to weigh heavier than his bad recent form? I don't know. I tend to think recent form is the thing that you have to look at actually more strongly. So I tend to actually lean to Miami in this game, but I'm not going to make it a play for today's show. Zach, what's up, man? Royals, they're not playing today, right? I'm not sure. I don't think they are. Tampa Bay and Cleveland. This is kind of a weird pitching matchup as well. Cleveland's returning home from a road trip. They lost all but 1 game on the road trip. But, Cleveland, I mean, they know they're out of it at this point. They were sellers at the trade deadline. They got hot for a little bit, but they're out of it. Tampa also out of it. So it's like, I mean, there's nothing left to play for these teams either. Cleveland returning home from a road trip, and when a team returns home from a road trip, they can be a little bit distracted, having to get back to home life. So it's not really a good spot for Cleveland here. Tampa Bay coming in from home, so they're starting a road trip with a little bit of momentum after beating St. Louis twice. So Tampa Bay is at least coming in with a little bit of momentum and maybe focus for the first game of a road trip. Bullpen-wise, Tampa Bay does have the better of the 2 bullpens. They saw a bit of usage yesterday, but Cleveland has had more bullpen usage recently. They used 5 relief pitchers yesterday. So you got to give the bullpen edge to Tampa here. You got to give the offense to Tampa as well, the edge in the offensive department. Tampa does have the better offense here. Cleveland's is pretty bad. Looking at the starting pitching, though, Tampa's going with a guy who was a relief pitcher, Ian Seymour. I think this might be his first actual start in his major league career. He's still a pretty young guy. He's a lefty. He has good numbers this year, 3.86 ERA, 1.16 whip. He's actually been way better on the road, 2.45 ERA on the road. I believe this will be his first start, though. And they ramped up his pitch count a little bit. In the last couple of games, he pitched 3 innings or more than 3 innings, 3 1/3, and then 3 innings in his last 2 outings. But he got absolutely hammered by the Yankees in his last outing in 3 innings. In relief, I believe he gave up 6 earned runs, 3 home runs. In that Tampa Bay stadium, though, where, like I said, he does way worse in that stadium, and I think there is a reason for that, because Tampa Stadium is a temporary stadium. It's the Yankees spring training stadium, so a lot of balls fly out of that stadium, balls flying all over the place. It's very gay. So maybe you give him a pass for that, and it was against a good offense, the Yankees. If you look at his overall stats, they're pretty good, so he might do okay in this game, but he's not going to go deep into this game, and that's kind of the problem, is Tampa's bullpen is probably going to be coming into this game sooner than Cleveland's is, although Cleveland has never faced Seymour before. So while he's in there, maybe he will actually pitch okay. But I don't know if I would want to bank on it, although I don't think I want to bank on Tanner Bybee either. He's not having the greatest season here, man. A lot worse than he was last year. 4.62 ERA, 1.29 whip. He's definitely had a regression season this year. He is way better at home, though. 3.19 ERA. So if you want to look at the home road splits, they're actually in favor of both starting pitchers here. Bybee, he's been really bad over the last 7 or 8 starts, though. He's allowed 4 more runs in every start going all the way back into late June, I believe. No, wait. No, that's wrong. He's had 3 starts where he hasn't done that, but all but 3 starts going back to late June, that's been the case. He somehow was on a stretch where his team won 7 games in a row behind him, even though he was bad in basically every start, and then he finally lost one at Arizona last time out by basically pitching the same that he was in the rest of these outings. This month, he hasn't gone 6 full innings in any of his starts. 5.91 ERA this month, 22-11 strikeout walk ratio, pretty bad. His walk number's gone up. Again, he's not pitching particularly well right now. Up against Tampa Bay, let's see. He does have good numbers against Tampa Bay. It's a small sample size, 23 at-bats. They only have 5 hitters who have faced him before, but they have no extra base hits, 10 strikeouts, no walks. 217 average, 435 OPS. So if Bybee is going to bounce back against some offense, maybe it will be this one. The money looks like it's really, really come in initially on Tampa because Cleveland dropped from -155 to -115. But it looks like 58% of tickets are on Tampa and 55% of the cash on Cleveland. So it looks like after that huge line drop, the money started coming in on Cleveland, which all of that seems weird to me. If Tampa was deciding on a starting pitcher, I don't see any way that them deciding that Seymour was going to be basically an opener in this game. That would not shift the line towards Tampa, you wouldn't think. So I don't really understand why the line has moved like that with the cash percentage actually being on Cleveland. So I think something else moved that line. Not exactly sure what. I actually think the under, as bad as this sounds, I actually think the under might be a better look in this game. Although I don't really trust Cleveland's bullpen, but I doubt that you can find a good low number in the first 5 innings. You probably can't find a 4 because the total's all the way down from 8.5 to 7.5. Juice to the under. Both of those juice to the under. 67% of tickets on the over, 97% of the cash on the under. I don't really trust either starting pitcher, though, so I don't think I could really recommend putting your money on the under, but I think if I was forced to play this game, I guess that would be the way that I would be looking in the game. I mean, again, as insane as that might sound, I would have a slight lean to Tampa Bay probably as well, just because of the situation and because I think they have the offense and the bullpen edge, and it's really hard to predict the starting pitching matchup. But Bybee has been in bad form, and Seymour is at least unfamiliar to Cleveland, so maybe you give that edge to Tampa. And Tampa at least is a team that is used to doing bullpen games like this because they were the team that started it all back with, I think, Joe Madden back in the day, although they don't do it as much now, but they still, to some degree, do things like that. Again, we will see, but it is possible that because Bybee's matchup numbers are so good and Seymour is unfamiliar, that they actually both pitch well, and that we see an under, and that is the way that the money is coming in there. Washington at the Yankees, of course, first read of this is that you want to tend to fade the teams that were in the Sunday night game, hint, hint, which the Yankees won finally, unfortunately, against the Red Sox, breaking an 8-game loss streak against the Red Sox, unfortunately, to pull back within a half game of the Red Sox. Yankees, that's a big win for them. So coming off that game, will they be in a letdown spot with a bad team like Washington coming in? It is definitely possible, but I don't really want to fade the Yankees here because the matchup gives the Yankees the advantage in every single aspect of this matchup, I believe. So even though the situation is a little bit against them, they did at least break a loss streak, and that might give them some momentum going forward. They're not traveling. Washington is traveling in from Philadelphia, so it's not much travel for them either. They played a pretty big series against Philly, though. They played tough in that series. That was a big series for Washington. They will probably still show up to face the Yankees, though. But again, I don't think you can lay the Yankees on a huge money line price like this, and I think they're potentially in kind of a bad spot here, but I really don't love Washington here. Hate the matchup for Washington, so I'm not going to recommend anything on this as far as the side is concerned. Yankees actually have the better bullpen. because Washington's is so bad, and Washington's actually used more of their bullpen as well. Yankees obviously have the way better offense as well. And starting pitching, you got to give that edge to the Yankees as well, even though Brad Lord for Washington has surprised me and has done me in a couple of times this year. But I've banked on him pitching poorly, and it's gone against me, but I don't think he's very good. He's basically a converted reliever that they have starting now. 3.46 ERA, 1.25 whip. I know those are not bad numbers. He's actually better on the road, 2.54 ERA on the road. He's been okay this month with a 4.09 ERA, 18-7 strikeout walk ratio, which is most of the starts that he's made. Washington has actually won 5 of his 6 starts, which isn't too bad, really. Again, I've been caught going against him. He hadn't allowed more than 3 earned runs in any start until the most recent one where he allowed 4 against the Mets. Mets are a decent offense, but still, he might be starting to slide a little bit here, man, because Lord, he's not like a huge strikeout pitcher. I still don't think he's really that good. So I'm not really expecting a whole lot out of him here against the Yankees. I think he's kind of falling out of form a little bit, but the Yankees only have one guy who's ever faced him, McMahon, who they got from the Rockies right before the trade deadline. He's 0 for 1 with a walk off of Lord. But even though Lord's unfamiliar to them, I don't expect him to do well. Yankees have the rookie Cam Schlittler on the mound. 3.22 ERA, 1.32 whip for him. So his whip is too high, but he's been pitching better this month, although he is a little bit worse at home, 4.12 ERA at home. This month, he has a 2.08 ERA in 4 starts, 23-7 strikeout walk ratio. Hasn't allowed more than 2 earned runs in any of those starts. It's just that the offense hasn't really backed him in some of these starts, and he actually hasn't allowed more than 3 earned runs in any outing all season. So he is actually pitching pretty well. He's holding opponent run totals down. His walk issue that he had his first month is actually pretty much gone now. So he's pitching well overall. And, Washington has never seen him before because Schlittler is a rookie. So he does have the advantage of not having been seen before. So he has even more of an unfamiliarity edge than Lord does. And Schlittler is obviously the better of these 2 pitchers. So I do think the Yankees should get this thing done. I think if you want to look at the Yankees in this game at all, you probably would want to go over their team total. Yankees are up to minus 225 on the money line, 85% of tickets, 99% of the cash coming in on them. I think the way to do it is to go with the Yankees to just score off of Brad Lord plus the Washington terrible bullpen. Probably is the way I would go. The total's at 9, so it's expected to be not that low scoring of a game here. It's a hitter-friendly ballpark. Yankees offense seems like they're back at least in some degree of form after scoring 7 runs last night. So that's probably the way I would approach that game if I had to play it. Minnesota, Toronto, I'm going to give out a play at the end of the show. Philadelphia and the Mets, big series, man. These are the top 2 teams in the NL East. Mets probably have a little bit more to try to play for here as Philly has taken control of the division with the Mets playing so poorly over the last month or so. Mets did just lose yesterday to finish their series against Atlanta. They're returning home from a road trip. So again, not the greatest spot when you return home from a road trip. Again, you have to get back to family life, but they're staying on the East Coast. They're facing Philadelphia, so it's a series that they're still going to get up for. So I don't think the distraction is going to completely come into play here. Both teams should show up for this. Philadelphia's starting a road trip, so it is a little bit of a better situational spot for them with some momentum coming off some fairly easy wins over Washington. As far as the bullpens are concerned, Philadelphia does still have the worst of these 2 bullpens. Usage-wise, Mets actually used a little bit less of theirs yesterday too, so the Mets do have the bullpen edge here. Philadelphia is the better offensive team out of the 2. Starting pitching, I think you have to give this to Philadelphia as well. They're looking at these 2 starting pitchers. This looks like a big-time pitching duel because both these pitchers have really good ERAs, but I think that Christopher Sanchez for Philly is clearly the better of the 2. He's having a really good season, 2.46 ERA, 1.1 whip. He's only slightly worse on the road, 2.54 ERA on the road. This month, 2.05 ERA in 4 starts, 30-5 strikeout walk ratio. His team has won 3 of the 4 starts. He's been really good. He had 12 strikeouts last time out against Seattle. Hasn't allowed more than 3 earned runs in any of those starts, so he's obviously in very good form right now. Up against the Mets, His numbers are pretty good in 111 at-bats. They've seen a lot of him. He has a really good 38-9 strikeout walk ratio. He's allowed a little bit of power to them, though. 5 home runs, 5 doubles. They only have a 243 average off him, so they don't hit him very well for contact. When they make contact, again, they've hit for a little bit of power, 723 OPS, so that's still not that high. Sanchez is also better this year than he has been in the past, so I do expect him to do fairly well in this game. He faced the Mets way back in April, and it was only a 2-inning outing where he allowed 2 earned runs, so I don't really know that you could really even dig into that outing at all. I don't think there's really a whole lot to look at there. Kodai Senga pitching for the Mets. I know he has a really good ERA, 2.58, but his whip is a little bit higher than you'd like to see, 1.25, and this guy walks too many guys, man. I mean, there's no way around that. He is a little bit better at home, 2.5 ERA, although really similar. This month, though, he's struggled, man. He's failed to make it 6 complete innings in any start, actually going all the way back into June. I think he was hurt for a little while, too. His team kept winning behind him until his last 3 outings. The Mets have lost all 3. He has a 5.21 ERA this month, 17-9 strikeout walk ratio, so the walk rate is definitely too high. Like I said, that's kind of his problem, is he walks too many guys. He has a lot of pitch counts that are just too high. He's not that efficient with his pitches. Up against the Phillies, he actually has done really well in his history against the Phillies, though. They're only 6 for 49 off him lifetime. Schwarber does have a home run off him, but that's his only hit in 7 at-bats with 4 strikeouts. Senga has a 17-4 strikeout walk ratio against them, 122 batting average and 393 OPS against. So Senga does have good numbers against Philly. So even though I do think Philly does have the upper hand in this matchup here, as far as the starting pitching is concerned. So I think I would probably lean to Philadelphia in the first 5 because I don't think they have the bullpen edge here. 62% of tickets, 93% of the cash on Philly. So the money is coming in on Philly. It is still also a return home spot for the Mets. So I still probably wouldn't even disagree with Philly full game, but I think first 5 is a little bit of a better approach. They're up, though, from minus 105 to minus 131. So you are having to lay a price for that, although I think there is a reason why the professional money's coming in on Philly. And like I said, I think Senga is not as good as his numbers make him look. Money is also coming in on the under. It's sitting at 8 juice to the under on the total, 55% of the tickets on the under, 98% of the cash on the under. And I don't disagree with that either. You could go first 5 innings and just go with the starting pitching matchup. Senga, again, he does have good matchup numbers at the very least. So it could indeed still be a pitching duel, even though, like I said, I don't think Senga is as good as his numbers look. His matchup is good here, so it could still possibly be a pitching duel. But I think I would probably still lean to Philadelphia first 5 money line, though, more strongly than the under in that game. But I don't really disagree with the under, and maybe first 5 innings is the better approach on that one to avoid somewhat shaky bullpens, especially Philadelphia's. Arizona at Milwaukee. Milwaukee's staying at home, and they actually just lost a series to San Francisco. They've actually lost 2 series in a row now, so go figure. Milwaukee still, I believe, has the best record in baseball, and they probably still have the best run differential in baseball. Milwaukee is the only of these teams with something to play for here, as Arizona's just playing out the stretch, although, again, playing Milwaukee, going out on the road to face Milwaukee, you probably will be focused. Although, again, Milwaukee staying at home off a couple of losses, they'll probably be focused as well to try to bounce back. I mean, losing to the Giants is pretty ugly. Arizona did just lose a win streak, though. They were on a 4-game win streak, and they lost to the Reds yesterday in the series finale. By the way, the Reds continue to avoid getting swept. I think the Reds still have not been swept in any series this season, and they've pulled the last game of the series out of their ass multiple times, including a game, I forgot to mention this was the case, the game I gave out the Reds to break the Brewers' long win streak. That was the Reds avoiding a sweep as well there, which is insane that they were able to do that in that one. But I gave it out as a play, so I expected it to happen. Arizona, they could be hung over a little bit. After you lose a win streak like this, sometimes you're hung over, but they're starting a road trip. They're facing the best team in baseball right now, so they should still be focused for this. It is kind of a focus spot for them regardless. I think it's a focus spot for both teams here. As far as the bullpens, you know Arizona does not have the better of the 2 bullpens. Their bullpen's not very good. Milwaukee used a little bit more of their bullpen, though, recently. So Milwaukee's bullpen usage is a little bit worse. Still think you have to give the bullpen edge a little bit to Milwaukee here. The offenses are both good, so I don't even know which team I would actually give the offensive advantage to. The D-backs are actually third overall in OPS, even though they traded away some of their hitters, which is really insane. So I guess you give them the offensive edge. Milwaukee's down at 11th. Milwaukee also not quite as good offensively at home. Starting pitching, though, I think you have to give the edge to Milwaukee here. Eduardo Rodriguez, pitching for Arizona, I think it's fairly obvious he is the lesser of the two starting pitchers here, although I don't think he's quite as bad as his numbers look, but he's never really been able to bounce back from his multiple Tommy John surgeries and whatever. He's got a 5.4 ERA this year, 1.61 whip. Obviously, that's not very good. He is actually a little bit better on the road, 5.14 ERA on the road, away from hitter-friendly Chase Field. This month, his team has won all 4 of his starts, but 2 of them are against the Rockies. 1 was against Cleveland. So he's stepping back up in class to face Milwaukee here. And he has a 4.5 ERA this month, which does look pretty good. But 17 to 12 strikeout walk ratio tells a different story. His strikeout rate is not that high right now. His walk rate is definitely way too high. So he's not in the greatest form right now. So you do have to worry about how well Erod will pitch here in this one. Up against the Milwaukee Brewers, he actually does have really good numbers against them, though. They're only 9 for 44 off him. 205 average allowed, 550 OPS. 7 to 6 strikeout walk ratio isn't particularly good, though. But other than that, his numbers are actually good against Milwaukee. Brandon Woodruff pitching for Milwaukee. Again, he's come right back basically from his injury where he missed over an entire season with injuries, and I think he might have had surgery as well, and he's come back and done really well so far this season. 2.47 ERA, 0.85 whip. The problem is that he was pitching so well when he first started out that you knew he had to regress a little bit because it's just he was just pitching unsustainably well. He's been pretty good both home and away. It doesn't really matter, just slightly worse at home. But again, he was really, really good. Hadn't allowed more than 2 earned runs in any start. Up until recently, in his 2 recent starts, he only went 4 innings against Pittsburgh, which I thought was weird. I don't know why they pulled him after 65 pitches in that game because he hadn't allowed any runs in that one. So that was a little bit strange. I actually gave out Milwaukee on the show in that game, and they got there for us. Then his last outing was actually bad, but it was on the road against the Cubs. We know the Cubs can hit, but he didn't pitch well. 4 1/3 innings, 3 earned runs, 3 walks. Still had a good strikeout rate, 6 strikeouts, gave up 5 hits as well. I think he bounces back, though, because basically every other one of his starts was good. Still has a 2.95 ERA this month and 26 to 8 strikeout walk ratio. So I still think he's pitching well. He's in good form. So I think he does bounce back and pitch better here. But up against the D-backs in his career, actually, yeah, he does have good numbers against the D-backs. I don't know what I was about to say. 43 at-bats. They have a 233 average, 662 OPS, 10 to 2 strikeout walk ratio against Woodruff. So he has done well against Milwaukee in the past. Milwaukee's the public side, though. They're up from -171 to -172 on the money line. A pretty heavy money line favorite. 85% of tickets and only 83% of the cash on Milwaukee. So the money seems to be slightly fading them. Although I do think Milwaukee is probably the right side, at least with the starting pitching matchup. So you could maybe go a first 5-inning run line with Milwaukee just to isolate the starting pitching matchup. The under in the first 5 innings might actually make sense too, just because both starting pitchers actually have good matchup numbers here, but I just don't know if I trust Eduardo Rodriguez enough, man. 74% of tickets and only 65% of the cash on the over, with the total flipping to 8 juice to the under. So it's actually bordering on falling to 7.5, which is a very low total here. So odds makers kind of thinking these starting pitchers will actually do well here. I wouldn't want to deal with the bullpens at all. So if you can find a first 5 under 4, maybe that's the way to go in that game. Zach, here you go with the Royals. I thought that you were commenting early because the Royals aren't playing today, but I'm an idiot. I handicapped this game earlier, and I looked at this game, and my first instinct on this game, Royals-White Sox, was that you want to look towards an under in this game because the starting pitching matchup looks like it's a matchup of 2 pretty good rookie pitchers, and we have 2 pretty bad offenses here. Chicago's even worse than Kansas City's. The White Sox, obviously, I'm talking about, not the Royals. The Royals have the better bullpen over the White Sox fairly significantly, so if you go under, you do have to worry a little bit about the White Sox bullpen being pretty bad, although their bullpen usage isn't terrible. Recently, it's not too bad. Kansas City's isn't that bad. They used 5 relief pitchers yesterday, but the number of pitches wasn't that heavy, but it does look like they're going to have to use a couple of their relievers that they used yesterday, potentially. in this game. But the starting pitching matchup, again, is two good rookie pitchers. Noah Cameron, of course, pitching for the Royals because he's the only pitcher they have who qualifies for that distinction. 2.53 ERA this year, 1.07 whip. He's been good. And then we have, I think, was it you, Zach, who said that you batted against him in high school or something, which is pretty cool. Noah Cameron, again, he's having a really good season. He's actually been even better on the road, even though his home stadium is pitcher-friendly. 2.11 ERA on the road, really good. He's been pitching well most of the season, and most of his worst starts have been against stronger offenses, although his last start wasn't particularly good against Texas, where he didn't last 5 innings in that one, walked 3 guys, gave up 2 earned runs, which isn't too bad, but his start was a little bit shaky. I'm a little bit worried about him right now, even though his ERA this month is 2.86, which is obviously good, but faced 3 bad offenses in a row, although he did okay against Minnesota and the White Sox. His other iffy start was against Toronto earlier this month, so again, that was a better offense that he faced, but he does have a 12-8 strikeout walk ratio this month, with the walk number having increased in his last 3 starts, multiple walks in each one, so that does worry me a little bit, and his strikeout rate has gone down. He's not really like a huge strikeout pitcher, but he's made his way this year by not putting many men on base, so he needs to overcome that, obviously. But surprisingly, against the White Sox, his numbers are actually not good. Although it's a small sample size, 24 at-bats, 2.2 strikeout walk ratio, 292 batting average allowed, and a somewhat high 763 OPS. So Cameron, I'm not going to say he's going to do bad in this game, but the White Sox did just see him, and yes, he held them to 1 earned run in 5 1/3 innings, but they did get 6 hits, 2 walks, only had 2 strikeouts, so it wasn't really a start where he was at his best, and that's basically where all those numbers come from, that one start. So yeah, the start doesn't look that bad because he only gave up 1 earned run, but they actually did hit him pretty well in that game, and he got maybe a little bit lucky getting out of some jams there. So I worry a little bit about that, but his ground ball rate was good in that outing. Although that was the best ground ball rate that he had to try to get out of some jams there. So maybe there is a little bit of a concern with Cameron with his recent form and his matchup numbers here. Shane Smith pitching for the White Sox. He's also a rookie. He was really good early in the season. Looked like he started to wear down a little bit. Then I think they gave him some rest, or I don't know if they sent him into the minors or what, but since he came back to the starting rotation, he actually started pitching better again. His numbers are pretty good this year. 4.12 ERA, 1.29 whip. I mean, not bad, especially for a rookie. He's better at home, 3.8 ERA at home, so both pitchers on the right side of their home road splits. This month, 3.54 ERA, 21 strikeouts, but 10 walks in 20 1/3 innings. So the walk number is a bit too high for him. He's walked multiple guys in 3 of the last 4 outings. So maybe you do have to worry a little bit about Smith. He did allow 4 earned runs last time, but he did make it 6 innings against Atlanta. White Sox have lost his last 3 outings, but he didn't really pitch that badly in most of them. And of course, the last outing that he had, I gave out the White Sox first 5 innings there because I had Smith to outpitch Bryce Elder, which of course he did because Elder is so bad. And then the White Sox wound up losing the game anyway. One thing to maybe worry about Smith, though, is that for the first time he threw over 100 pitches in that game, so they might have overextended him a little bit, so he might be a little bit worn out coming into this. And then the other thing you have to worry about is even though Kansas City is not a very good offense, Smith actually doesn't have good numbers against him. I know it's a small 15 at-bat sample size, but a 3.3 strikeout walk ratio, 3.33 average allowed, 8.44 OPS. So you do have to worry a little bit about Smith's numbers against KC. That all came from, I believe, one start that didn't really look that bad when you look at it, where he went 5 innings, gave up 5 hits and 3 walks, though, which is not great. 2 earned runs allowed wasn't too bad, but his numbers, looking at his offensive the offensive numbers against him specifically, they're not particularly good. So that's my hesitation here, man, is the matchup numbers with both of these starters, not great. And these starters don't have that advantage anymore where they're unfamiliar to the opposing hitters because the hitters have seen them both once now. That's my hesitation on the under. Although it probably is still the right lean here, as we can see the 73% of tickets on the over, 80% of the cash on the under. Total sitting at 8.5, juice to the under. So we do see the money coming in on the under. Again, I'm not going to totally disagree with it, but again, I worry for those reasons that I pointed out with both starting pitchers. Kansas City's dropped from -133 to -125, so Zach will not like to hear that. Kansas City is a public road favorite here, which is usually not a good sign. 82% of the tickets, only 77% of the cash on them. So it looks like the money is coming in and kind of taking the White Sox as a home underdog here. I would say if you're going to do that, you should probably do it first 5 innings and exclude the bullpens, although I know fading Noah Cameron, difficult to do. So I wouldn't really want to do it. But if you think the White Sox with Smith, they could keep it close in the first 5 innings, and it's sort of a situation where it's like, well, either team could be ahead at the end of the first 5. Maybe it does make sense that there's a little bit of value grabbing the home team as the underdog there. Andrew, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out. Yes, we are definitely opposed to the genocide of Israel here. The genocide being carried out by Israel. Pittsburgh at St. Louis. St. Louis returning home from a road trip. So again, not particularly a good spot. You return home from a road trip, you tend to not do as well. You come back home, you're a little bit distracted. I mean, you're facing Pittsburgh, who's the worst team in your division. Might not be totally focused for that reason. I know St. Louis did just lose their last 2 games against Tampa Bay, but these 2 teams are both out of it. They don't have a whole lot left to play for, other than just playing for divisional pride, I guess, and maybe potentially trying to not be in last place, although Pittsburgh's almost still guaranteed last place here. But Pittsburgh's won 4 games in a row, man, so they're not playing too badly right now. 2 shutouts in the last 3 games, but it was against Colorado at home, so you got to dial it back a little bit because we know how bad Colorado is on the road. So Pittsburgh is coming in with momentum, though. They're starting a road trip on a nice win streak, so a lot of times those teams will be a little bit focused. I don't think that Pittsburgh has the starting pitching edge in this game, though, and I do think St. Louis actually does have a bullpen edge, although Pittsburgh didn't use much of their bullpen yesterday, only 2 relievers. St. Louis didn't play the day before yesterday. They had a weird off day on Saturday, so St. Louis, pretty good rest scenario for their bullpen as well. And St. Louis has the better offense because Pittsburgh's is just that bad, even though St. Louis has been pretty bad recently as well. St. Louis, you got to give them the bullpen edge, the hitting edge, and I think they probably have the starting pitching edge as well. Pittsburgh has Johan Oviedo pitching, and he, I believe, is basically a converted reliever. He's not really that young at this point. He's a big dude, 6'6", 275. Yeah, he's a hefty dude, man. 4.5 ERA this year, 1.33 whip. So his numbers not exactly great. He doesn't have any road games yet this season. So actually he's only made 2 appearances so far. They were both at home. His last outing was a good start. Go figure, against Toronto. Went 5 innings, picked up a win, allowed 1 earned run on 2 hits, 6 strikeouts, 1 walk. Was that a flash in the pan, though? I don't really know, because Oviedo's numbers over his career are nowhere near as good as that, going all the way back to 2020. And actually, I'm a little bit wrong. He actually was a reliever back with St. Louis, and then he actually became a starter more so with Pittsburgh, although he was a starter initially with St. Louis. They moved him to the bullpen. Looks like they traded him away. And then Pittsburgh has mostly had him as a starter the whole time, or they have had him as a starter the whole time. So interesting. So that means his other outing this year was a start, but it was like an opener type of start. And he wasn't good in that one. He walked 3 guys and gave up 2 hits in 1 inning. Got really lucky to only allow 2 earned runs there. He actually struck out all of the outs that he got were by way of the K, 3 strikeouts. So he kind of got himself out of that jam in that game. Very, very strange, but his numbers over his career are not great, so I don't really, they're basically in line with what his stats are this season, so I don't expect him to do that well. He is here facing his former team, though, although my guess would be he's already faced them before because he's been with Pittsburgh for a couple of years now, and he stayed in the same division. His numbers against St. Louis are decent, though, in 47 at-bats, 255 batting average allowed, 701 OPS. 8 to 6 strikeout walk ratio is not that good, but his other numbers are fairly good, so it is certainly possible, especially with St. Louis struggling offensively, that Oviedo might actually pitch fairly well in this game, but I'm not really trusting him to go terribly deep into these outings. I don't think he's that trustworthy. Michael McGreevy for the Cardinals, I believe this might be his rookie season. He's young. He's pitched pretty well overall, 4.26 ERA, 1.18 whip, although he's had really, really, really ugly starts, and he's had some really good starts, and he's been worse at home with a 5.18 ERA at home, so you do have to worry about that. This month, he's pitched well, though, with a 14-2 strikeout walk ratio. He's done 6 innings in every single outing, picked up a win in 3 of the 4, and his team only lost by 1 run in the other game. It was to Colorado, though, but he didn't pitch poorly in that game. 3.38 ERA this month, so McGreevy is pitching well this month, including a 6-inning shutout against the Cubs, so that's Obviously a good sign. He was able to pitch well against a good lineup. So he's in good form right now. And obviously Pittsburgh is a bad lineup. Pittsburgh, not a big sample size, but they're 1 for 7 off him with no extra base hits, no walks, 3 strikeouts. So he has done well against them. So I think you still have to give the edge to McGreevy in this one. The money seems to be fading St. Louis, though, because, again, they are returning home from a road trip. They might not totally focus on Pittsburgh, so the situation is not that great for St. Louis. So for that reason alone, even though I think the matchup is kind of in their favor, I think you have to dial it back on that and probably avoid playing St. Louis here. 70% of tickets, only 69% of the cash on them. They're down from minus 127 to minus 126 on the money line, so the money's kind of coming in against them, but the money seems to be signaling on the under. 83% of tickets on the over, 87% of the cash on the under. I don't really disagree with this. If you want to try to avoid the bullpens, you could go first 5 innings here, although you might not be able to find a good number on that. Full game, at least you're getting a decent St. Louis bullpen, and you're getting 2 really bad offenses. So I think you're all right maybe going full game on this. You got to maybe worry about Oviedo because he's so unpredictable. But the total has dropped all the way from 8 juice to the over to 7.5 juice to the over. You could still probably find a first 5 under the 4 if you really want to do that way. But I think some form of under in that game is probably the better way to look there. Man, this is taking forever, man. I got my best bets to still go to with 4 of them. Although 2 of them I think are games that I still haven't even talked about yet. So we'll get to those. Anaheim is at Texas for Andrew here. Anaheim going to Texas. Texas is staying at home with a nice little run here with 2 shutouts in a row to complete a sweep of Cleveland. We know Cleveland's not very good. Texas has pulled into a 500 record again. It's 66-66. That's not exactly good. That's evil. So they're probably going to want to get off of that record, which they will regardless of what happens in this game. But I guess they probably want to win, so they make it 67-66 instead of 66-67. You know what I mean? So the loss would make their record look more evil. So maybe that's a motivator. Who knows? Although the Rangers, they're now without Semi, and he has an injured foot, and it looks like he might be out for the season. Texas, I think they're still playing like they're still in it here. Anaheim knows that they're out of it now. Texas might have a little bit more motivation for that reason, although it's a divisional matchup, so Anaheim probably will show up as well. Texas, generally, I mean, we know they have the better bullpen here. I mean, that's obvious. Texas has the better pitching. They're one of the best pitching teams in all of baseball. They have nice bullpen rest as well right now. They have one of the more rested bullpens in all of baseball over the last few days. Anaheim definitely does not. Anaheim used 5 relief pitchers yesterday, and their bullpen is worse. So Texas has a pretty clear bullpen edge here. The travel edge is in their favor as well as they're staying at home. Anaheim's coming in from home. They got swept in a series by the Cubs, so maybe they'll actually show up focused here, get out of home, go on the road. Could be a focus spot for them as well when you start a road trip. Yeah, I mean, more often than not, you do tend to be focused, so it's not a terrible spot, but they are having to travel and change time zones here for Anaheim. As far as the starting pitching is concerned, Jose Soriano, I mean, he's obviously the lesser of these 2 pitchers. For Anaheim here, he's got a 4 ERA, 1.38 whip is definitely not good. It's too high. He actually is better on the road, though, the 2.89 road ERA for whatever reason. But this month, he has not been pitching that well. 6.89 ERA. He's allowed 5 or more in runs in 2 outings. Although maybe you give him a pass for the most recent one because it was at that A's really hitter-friendly stadium, and he gave up 3 bombs in that one. So maybe you give him a pass for that one after he shut out the Dodgers for 6 innings to start prior to that. Soriano is really, really hard to predict, man. He is so all over the place. I had a really bad start at home against Tampa the start before that. He's almost impossible to figure out, man. It's really difficult to put your money on a Soriano game because you just don't know what to expect. He could be really good. He could be really awful. No clue. The range of possibilities is insane. He is facing a weak Texas offense here, and his numbers are really good against them. In 62 career at-bats, 194 batting average allowed, 592 OPS, 15-8 strikeout walk ratio against them, which isn't that good. Too many walks, but other than that, his numbers are good against Texas. We know Texas's offense is bad, especially at home. We know this is a pitcher-friendly park, and Texas has Jacob deGrom pitching, and we know he's been really good this year, even though he's an old man at this point, age of 37. He's having a great season, though. 2.76 ERA, 0.93 whip, excellent whip, sub 1. He's actually really good at home as well, 2.11 ERA at home. This month, he's been a little bit worse, 4.32 ERA, because he had one kind of inexplicably bad start against Seattle, and then he bounced back really nicely in his last 2 starts. 13-1 strikeout walk ratio, 3 earned runs allowed over the last 11 2/3. His last 2 starts, but his team lost both of those starts after he had 2 shaky starts, the 2 starts prior to that. His team's actually lost 6 of his last 7 starts, and most of it is because the run support just isn't there. DeGrom has pitched pretty well for the most part, and Texas just can't score for him, man. Prior to those 2 bad starts, he'd actually only allowed more than 3 earned runs one other time all season. Maybe because he's old, he is starting to tire out a little bit. But, I mean, he's DeGrom. He's such a veteran, man. He's used to pitching a lot of innings over the course of a season. Texas, I mean, their pitching coaching is really good. And, they usually work their bullpen in pretty well as well. So, I think we'll be all right. If we're looking for DeGrom to pitch pretty well here, I think it is likely to happen, but I do have a little bit of a hesitation because his numbers against Anaheim are not awful, but not as good as you would think. 45 at-bats, 14-4 strikeout walk ratio. And this is without... this is against Anaheim, excuse me. Anaheim does have the better offense, excuse me. But he's allowed a 267 average to them, 860 OPS against them. So Anaheim, the one real advantage they have in this game is they have the better hitting. And DeGrom does have bad numbers against them, but 2 of the home runs are from d'Arnaud. A lot of the other guys haven't done a whole lot of damage against him, so I'm not really about to say that DeGrom's going to pitch poorly in this game. I think the way to look at this game, you probably have to look to an under. The total's really low. It's 7.5. 77% of tickets on the over, 55% of the cash on the over. So the money seems to be agreeing on the under here. If you wanted to go first 5, I don't think you'd be able to find an under 4. You'd have to go under 3.5 there. You could factor in the bullpens. You have one bad bullpen with Anaheim you have to deal with. But I think Soriano, his matchup numbers are good. We're looking at a weak Texas offense here. So you might see this game go under. The odds makers seem to be expecting a low-scoring game. Texas is down from minus 177 to minus 170 on the money line. 84% of tickets, 85% of the cash on them. So I guess do what you will with that info. But I think maybe looking towards the under is actually the better way to play that game. San Diego, Seattle, I'm going to have a play on that one. And I'm going to have a play on Cincinnati and Dodgers as well, which I almost made that one the title of the show. I was like, which one of these games seems like a better matchup? I was like, probably San Diego, Seattle, because they're both more in the thick of it than Cincinnati is at this point. But we do also have a game here where Detroit is having to play at this ridiculous A's stadium. So this is going to be weird because you have the best pitcher in baseball pitching for Detroit here at the worst pitching stadium in baseball. Which one is going to win out? Maybe the better pitching. I think the better pitching probably will win out, but maybe not. The A's are returning home from a road trip. They went to Minnesota and then Seattle. A's are just kind of playing out the stretch here, man. I mean, they know they're not going anywhere. Detroit is at least still playing for playoff positioning, so Detroit might have a little bit more motivation for that reason. A's returning home from a road trip, again, tends to be a bit of a distracted spot, but when you have a good team like Detroit coming in, maybe you won't be totally distracted. The A's have the better offense of the two. Detroit has the better bullpen of the two. The A's only used 2 relief pitchers yesterday, so their bullpen's in decent shape at least. Detroit used 4, so Detroit's bullpen a little bit less rested, but I think their bullpen's better enough than the A's bullpen that maybe you give them an edge here still. And with Skubal, like I mentioned, on the mound for Detroit, they might not have to use a whole lot of their bullpen here. Obviously, he's been really good this season. 2.32 ERA, 0.87 whip. He's been a little bit better on the road, although his home road splits are really, really insignificant. His team has won all 4 of his starts this month, even one where he didn't make it 5 innings against Anaheim. Other than that, he's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs and got 7 innings in the other 3 starts this month. 3.51 ERA this month, a little bit higher than what you're used to with him, but it's a long season, man. He's still pitching well. 29-6 strikeout walk ratio this month, quite good. Double-digit strikeouts in 2 of the 3 outings, so that's all good. But his numbers against the A's are actually not that good. In 51 at-bats, does have a 17-2 strikeout walk ratio, which is very good, but 294 batting average allowed, 831 OPS. So he actually hasn't done that well against the A's, and one of his weaker starts this year was actually against the A's in Detroit. He did go 6 innings with 8 strikeouts, 1 walk, So it wasn't as bad as it looked. He gave up 4 earned runs, but it was because he gave up 2 home runs. So maybe he got a little bit unlucky, but in this A's stadium, maybe he will actually give up some home runs because Skubal, we know he throws hard. So if people make contact with him, they might be able to launch some of these things here. And Skubal is not really much of a ground ball pitcher. So he's more of a strikeout pitcher, obviously. So maybe he'll struggle a little bit in this one. It is possible. He's going up against JT Ginn, who obviously is the weaker of the 2 pitchers. 4.95 ERA, 1.37 whip for the A's here. 6.75 ERA at home, so he's really struggled in this home stadium. A very, very hitter-friendly park. This month, he's been pretty awful. He's only gone 5 innings once in 4 starts this month. 7.88 ERA, 19-10 strikeout walk ratio. Pretty bad numbers here for Ginn this month, so he's not pitching well. Against Detroit, he has really bad numbers too, although it's a small 26 at-bat sample size. 385 batting average, allowed 1,023 OPS, so I'm not expecting him to do particularly well here either. He did face Detroit earlier this year, and he only lasted 2 innings, gave up a couple of runs. Not a whole lot you can really take away from that. That was in that series at Detroit. So what are we expecting in this game? I mean, as crazy as it might sound, I'm almost thinking that an over might actually make sense here because Skubal doesn't exactly have his greatest numbers against the A's. It's a bad stadium. The total's a little bit lower than it usually is because Skubal is on the mound. It's up to 9, though. 68% of tickets on the over, 54% of the cash on the under. Of course, what you could do is also maybe avoid the Skubal part of the equation because he could potentially pitch really well and just go with Detroit to score over their team total and just beat Ginn and the A's bullpen. That might be the actual approach here. Detroit over their team total. Maybe that makes sense. Money's coming in against Detroit, though. They're down from -200 to -183. 81% of tickets on them and only 63% of the cash on them. So, oddly enough, the money is fading Detroit, although a lot of that I think is just because of the price. Detroit is just favored too heavily in this game, I think, based on what the professionals think. So do with all that information what you will. That was the rundown. Let's get to the best bets, man. I always forget to put the graphic up. I got my Toad Chat GPT graphics here. Let's go to the best bets, man. Hopefully this doesn't take too long. But we got 4 best bets here. The first one up, you know what I'm doing here, man. We're going to fade my Boston Red Sox, even though I'm wearing my Red Sox hat here. We're going to take the Orioles on the money line. And yes, I know the Red Sox have the better bullpen, and the Red Sox do have the better offense, although I'll fade the better offense. I'll probably fade the better offense more often than I do anything else, to be honest. But in this game, first of all, I think it's a terrible spot for the Red Sox. We know they're coming off of that huge series against the Yankees, and they played in the Sunday night game. They won the series against the Yankees, won 3 out of 4, and they lost last night to lose the win streak that they had, which I think all of that is going to hang them over into this game. Not only that, but they have less of a turnaround time here because they played Sunday night. And again, that's a huge game. I mean, it's the biggest rivalry in baseball, playing the Yankees. You're playing on ESPN Sunday night. Everything about that is huge. And now you're going to play Baltimore. Yes, I know Baltimore did just sweep the Red Sox in Fenway, so the Red Sox might want to try to get back at them for that, but I don't think this is the spot to do it. That series, I think, was just huge. It took a lot out of the Red Sox. And the Red Sox are going with a bullpen game in this game, which makes this even worse for the Red Sox. So I know sometimes bullpen games actually work out well because the manager can kind of use the correct relievers, but I don't like it in this spot, man, even though I know the Red Sox kind of saved their bullpen yesterday by using Walker Buehler out of the bullpen. But the weirdest thing is that Bernardino pitched out of the bullpen last night, although he hadn't pitched in like 4 days. He threw 18 pitches last night, but he's going to be the opener tonight as well. So he pitched last night, and he's going to pitch 1 inning to start the game tonight, and then Dick Fitz is going to come into the game and probably pitch about 3 or 4 innings. So Fitz is going to be the follower. We're going to get a Dick follower in this in this matchup here. I don't like that combo, man. I'm sorry, I don't like it. Even though the Red Sox, yes, they have the better bullpen. Baltimore's bullpen is pretty rested. At least they only used 2 relievers yesterday, including Keegan Aiken, who's more of a longer relief type of guy. Baltimore, I know they don't have the better offense either, but this is just a bad spot for the Red Sox. I think the starting pitching, you have to give the edge to Baltimore here. Again, Bernardino will be throwing 1 inning in this one. Yes, he has good numbers, 2.93 ERA, 1.2 whip, whatever. He's got a 3 ERA on the road, so very similar to his home ERA. He did just face Baltimore 2 outings ago on the 19th, so Baltimore is recently familiar with him. He did have one shutout inning against him with no strikeouts. Didn't put anybody on base either. His numbers are good in 25 at-bats versus the Orioles. 7 strikeouts, 1 walk, 240 average allowed, 669 OPS. But again, you're only going to get 1 inning out of him, and then it's going to give way to Fitz, like I said, who might give us fits as Red Sox fans here, but at least I'll give out a play against the Red Sox to hedge my emotion. Fitz has not been that good this year. He's a young guy. He does have some upside, but 4.83 ERA, 1.32 whip, not very good. He has been better on the road, though. 3.91 ERA on the road, so maybe he'll actually do a little bit better here, but the past month in July, he hasn't pitched since July in the majors. I think they might have sent him to the minors. He didn't do well in July. He failed to go 5 innings in 3 of the 4 outings. 5.06 ERA, 13-5 strikeout walk ratio. That wasn't good. Maybe the pressure is off him a little bit coming in as a follower, but you're probably only going to get about 3 innings out of him in this game. So Baltimore, they might have their bullpen, their bullpen might still not be in the game by the time Fitz is even out of this game. Sugano is pitching for Baltimore, and his season's been up and down, but he's pitched better again recently. He's got a 3.97 ERA, 1.27 whip. I know the whip isn't that great. Very, very slightly better at home, although his numbers are almost the same. He started off the season really well because, well, he's new to the majors, so you kind of expect that, well, maybe he'll have some period where he has to adapt to pitching in the majors, but also the hitters had to kind of figure him out. So even though he's not like a hard thrower or anything like that, the hitters couldn't really figure him out. But then I think once hitters started figuring him out, he actually had a couple of really bad months. After he was good the first couple of months, he was really bad in the middle of the summer, but this past month he's been pretty good again. In 4 starts, Baltimore's won all 4. They've actually won his last 5 starts. 2.01 ERA this month at a 14-4 strikeout walk ratio, so he's not putting guys on base again. Last 3 outings, he's only allowed 2 earned runs combined, including his last time out. Yes, the Red Sox did just see him, but he shut them out, or he didn't shut them out. He went 5 innings, gave up 1 unearned run against them, and the Orioles wound up winning the game in extra innings because the Red Sox, I believe, that was the game where Lowe, the newcomer to the Red Sox, hit a 2-run homer in the bottom of the 9th to send it into extras, and then they lost anyway. Sugano didn't walk anybody in that start, had 3 strikeouts. Yes, the Red Sox did just see him, but the Orioles are also fairly recently familiar with the Red Sox pitching, I would say at least, and Sugano, his numbers are fairly good against the Red Sox, 21 at-bats. It's mostly just that 1 outing, but 6 hits, no extra base hits, 2 strikeouts, no walks, 286 batting average, 571 OPS. So he does have good numbers against them. So, yeah, given that, and especially given the situation, I think the situation is what puts this over the edge. We're going to go with the Orioles in this game. And I know we went with the Orioles yesterday, too, and they got it done for us. But sometimes I'll be on the same team 2 days in a row, man, like I did with Houston against Baltimore. Let me just see when the last time Fitz faced Baltimore was. I guess it wasn't recently. It wasn't this year, but whatever. We're going to go with Baltimore here, man. The public is somewhat on the Red Sox, 59% of tickets, only 55% in the cash. I mean, the Red Sox against the last place Orioles like this after what everybody saw the Red Sox do really well against the Yankees over the weekend. So the public, they're going to be on the Red Sox side, even despite losing last night. Red Sox are up from -115 to -116, but you're getting Baltimore in a better spot as the home underdog here, man. Cash seems to be kind of agreeing with the Baltimore side. That is the play in that first game. Baltimore plus money there. Next up is a full game under in Minnesota-Toronto, and I know Minnesota's bullpen isn't very good. I get it. You don't usually want to include Minnesota's bullpen into an equation like this. Actually, both bullpens are bad, but the issue Toronto's isn't great at least. But the problem that I had with that is I couldn't find a good number for the first 4, so I was like, I guess we'll go full game on this. Toronto's bullpen is at least pretty rested, as they basically just used long relief guys yesterday for the most part, mostly Rodriguez. So I'm okay with that. Minnesota's bullpen, they basically used nobody. So almost all of their bullpen didn't pitch the last 2 days, as they used Hatch one time and then they used Ole yesterday. So Minnesota used long relief guys in both outings. So all their best relievers, I don't know what the hell a name like Genesis is doing in their bullpen, by the way. Isn't that that guy sounds like a female stripper, dude. I don't know what's going on with that, but Minnesota does have their better relievers available, so I'm more okay with doing this, the full game under here. Again, if you find a first 5 under to go under 4, you could definitely do it that way as well. You know me, I don't like going the under 3.5 though, but this looks like an under to me, and we have 2 starters who've been really good throughout their career, so the hope here is also that the starters will get us deeper, which I'm going to give out a first 5 under, with my last play of the day, and that one you have pitchers that might actually not last as long as I think these pitchers probably will in this one, because this one you got veteran pitchers, man, who are used to pitching long periods of time. And by the way, yes, obviously Toronto has the better offense of these 2 teams, but the better starting pitcher is going for Minnesota. I would say he's the better of the 2 at this point. Joe Ryan, 2.96 ERA, 0.95 whip. Great season for him. Maybe he'll step it up to face Toronto here, which, by the way, as far as the situation is concerned, Toronto is returning home from a road trip where they went to Pittsburgh and Miami. So again, sometimes the teams return home from road trips. Playing a bad team like Minnesota, you can be a little bit distracted, and that distraction could definitely affect the hitting. So that's another reason why we're going under here. I think you could see some distracted hitting on the side of the better offense here, which is Toronto. Minnesota, I mean, they're probably going to be focused because they've been playing bad baseball. They've lost 5 of their last 6 games. You lose to the A's and then to the White Sox. I think you're going to want to step it up at least. I mean, you're still playing for some semblance of pride here, and you're playing one of the teams that's going to make the playoffs most likely in Toronto. So it's a big game for Minnesota. So I do think they will show up with focus here. So I think the spot is a little bit better for Minnesota. But Joe Ryan pitching again. He's actually better on the road as well. 2.44 ERA on the road. Yeah, he had a bad outing last time out against the A's. He gave up 5 earned runs in 4 innings, but he got a little bit unlucky because he did still have a 6-1 strikeout walk ratio in that outing, so his command was still on point. Did give up 7 hits. A's are a pretty good offense, probably actually better than Toronto's offense. The A's 5th in OPS. Actually, Toronto's is 4th, so never mind. Anyway, yeah, I thought Toronto was down more like 8th or 9th, but whatever. Anyway, I think Ryan will bounce back from that, though. Generally, he's been pitching well. He has a 3.74 ERA this month, including a good start at the Yankees. So he was coming off that game. So I think maybe he was in a little bit of a letdown spot as well, pitching really well against the Yankees. He just wasn't as focused against the A's. He might refocus here to face Toronto, man. He still does have a 22-4 strikeout walk ratio over the past month, which is good. In August, I mean, against Toronto, his numbers are good as well, even though they've seen him for 91 at-bats. 24-6 strikeout walk ratio. He's only allowed 1 home run to France. He's held them to a 242 average, 629 OPS, and a good strikeout walk ratio, like I said. So Ryan does have good numbers against Toronto, and he's going up against the old guy, Max Scherzer, who is still pitching pretty well right now, man. 3.6 ERA, 1.08 whip. He's talented, and he's doing it. He has the exact same ERA, home and away. This month, he has a 1.8 ERA, a few too many walks, 17-7 strikeout walk ratio, so he's walked too many, but he's allowed 2 or fewer earned runs in every outing this month. He's gotten 6 or more innings in all but 1 start, going all the way back into earlier July. This month, he also faced the Cubs and the Dodgers and only allowed 3 earned runs across 13 innings combined in those 2 starts, including a road start against the Dodgers. So yeah, Scherzer is in good form right now. We know Minnesota's offense isn't that good, and they actually haven't faced him that much, but they're only 3 for 24 off him. 7 strikeouts, 2 walks, 125 average allowed, and 359 OPS. So Scherzer looks like he even has the better matchup numbers here. So I'm expecting a pitching duel, especially early in this game. But again, I think you probably have to go under the full game at this point. You could probably still find the 8. I would probably go up to maybe about minus 120 to get under the 8, but you could go under 7.5. I mean, 7 is really the key number and not 8. So if you want to go under the 7.5 full game, I think you could do that. 53% of tickets on the over, 98% of the cash on the under. You get a better price by going under the 7.5 if you want to do it that way. Money's coming in on Toronto up from minus 138 to minus 140, and at least you could argue they do have more motivation because they're still playing for something. 76% of tickets, 96% of the cash on Toronto. I don't love the return home spot and whatever, though. So again, I think under is the way to look at this. Total, again, already dropped from 8 juice to the over all the way down to where it is now. So the money is coming into the under. I agree with it. So the money is agreeing with me on both of those first 2. It might be agreeing with me on all 4 of these plays, actually. I like all 4. So we're going with that. And again, You could go first 5 innings on this too if you really want to, which I think would not be a terrible idea either. But the bullpen rest scenario also kind of helps me just be like, and the fact that the starters are such veterans and can get deep into games, I'm just like, okay, we'll go full game on that one. Next up, the other side that I have is the Seattle Mariners money line -130. I like how this sets up for Seattle here against San Diego, man. Seattle's got 55% of tickets, 89% of the cash on them, although you might be able to get a better price on this because they've dropped from -122 to -120 now, so you might be able to find a better money line price on this. I know we're paying a little bit for a couple of these, although I did yesterday as well, but I like how the spot sets up for Seattle here, man. And first of all, they're facing San Diego. I know this is a big game, which is why I put it in the title. Both teams are fighting for playoff positioning. Mariners fighting at the very least for a wild card spot, but they could still win their division. San Diego trying to win their division, but one thing that you got to look at here is that San Diego's not very good on the road. Even though their overall record's really good, they're really good at home, and they're below 500 on the road, 31-35. And Seattle is way better at home. They're 39-26 at home. Basically, every one of their pitchers pitches better at home. So you're looking at that. You got to take that into account, man. I think the public is kind of going to be on the San Diego hype train again here, man, because San Diego has been hot again, and they just won a series against the Dodgers over the weekend after winning 3 out of 4 against San Francisco. So they were on a hot streak, but this is one reason why I'm going to fade San Diego here, because they just lost a 5-game win streak, and I always say when you lose a win streak like this, it can hang you over into the next game, and you just face the Dodgers, man. I mean, that's the biggest series that San Diego could possibly have, right? They were hosting the Dodgers. They won the series. They lost the big game yesterday. They're tied in the NL West. I know both teams have to keep winning here, but that was a huge series, and now you're starting a road trip. I know a lot of times when a team starts a road trip, they will be focused, but how can you be focused off of that huge series against your biggest division rival, basically, what is determining who wins your division, and then you go and you have an interleague game flying all the way up to the Pacific Northwest here? Yeah, staying in the same time zone, but I don't like it, man. And Seattle actually isn't even traveling. Seattle's staying at home, and they just had an easy series against the A's. So I think Seattle, the spot sets up way better for them, and they're right in the thick of it, like I said, so they're still playing with a lot of motivation as well here. So I like how that sets up. The bullpen scenario, yes, San Diego does have the better bullpen, although Seattle's isn't that much worse. San Diego used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Seattle used 2, so Seattle's is pretty well rested. So I think that's fine. Yes, Seattle, again, they do have the worst of the 2 bullpens. We know San Diego actually has the best bullpen ERA in all of baseball. Yeah. Seattle's isn't too bad, though. They're 12th. They're fine bullpen-wise. And then hitting, San Diego actually is at a disadvantage offensively. They're only 20th offensively in OPS, and Seattle is up at 12th. So Seattle does have an edge offensively here. But I'm going to give Seattle the edge with the starting pitching, which is where I think we might find some value here. Mark, what's up, man? Well, I wouldn't say the Padres are sitting pretty because they're tied with the Dodgers, so they don't have any padding there. But basically, I agree with you, though. What we're saying is basically San Diego's got to feel really, really happy about beating the Dodgers in that series, even though they lost the last game. They're feeling probably pretty good about themselves after that, and that was a huge series for them. This series, maybe less so. But yeah, we're definitely agreeing on the Seattle side here. And the starting pitching, I think if the public's going to look at this and might think that Seattle's starting pitcher is actually worse because he has the worst ERA, but he is not the worst of the 2 starting pitchers. And by the way, Seattle has a lot of familiarity with San Diego's starting pitcher, even though, yes, when we look into it, he actually does have good numbers against Seattle, but it's J.P. Sears, and he was in Seattle's division up until the trade deadline. He was on the A's, so Seattle is very familiar with J.P. Sears. So he has a familiarity disadvantage here because the hitters have seen a bunch of them. He's been okay this year, 4.94 ERA, 1.29 whip, and I know he was pitching in the A's stadium in Sacramento, which is a very hitter-friendly park, so I think that was skewing his numbers. Yes, I do think Sears is better than his numbers look, but he hasn't been that much better on the road, only slightly better, 4.87 ERA on the road. He's been mediocre since being acquired by San Diego. 6-2 strikeout walk ratio. Got lit up at Arizona for 5 earned runs. And then he had one good start against San Francisco, who is a bad offense. So Arizona's a good offense. San Francisco's a bad offense. Seattle is in between the two as far as how good their offense is. But overall, Sears, 4.91 ERA over that span. Not terrific. And again, now he's going up against Seattle, who has seen a bunch of them, 116 at bats against him. Yes, he has held them to a very low 172 batting average. I get it. 555 OPS. Again, I understand. He's held them to really low numbers, but his strikeout walk ratio isn't exactly that great against them, 29-13. So he doesn't have too many walks, at least, against them. But this is about familiarity. It's about the situation. When I saw this, I was like, whoa. Like, because we get that familiarity edge on the side of Seattle's hitters here because they are very familiar with Sears. Even though I know, again, he has pitched well against them in the past. But look at what he did the last time out. His last start with the A's was, I know, in the A's stadium against Seattle, but he didn't do well at all. He had 3 walks, 2 earned runs allowed, gave up a homer, 4 1/3 innings, gave up 5 hits. He put a ton of guys on base. He easily could have allowed more than 2 earned runs in that one. He did have 6 strikeouts, but he's not really a strikeout guy. So the one time he faced Seattle this year, he faced them twice. He had a good start in this ballpark to kick off the season. My mistake. He did pitch well the first time out. 7 strikeouts, no walks, 2 earned runs allowed, 6 2/3 innings pitched. But last time out, didn't do as well. We don't need him to do as poorly as he did last time out against them. We don't need him to do as well. We need him to do less good than he did in the first outing that he had this season. But I do think that his start in this game is going to be somewhere in between the two. That would be my guess. There's just such a discrepancy between these two stadiums. The A's have like the worst pitching stadium in all of baseball, and Seattle has like maybe the most pitcher friendly, maybe besides San Diego. So there is a huge disparity there. But I think we have the better pitcher on the side of Seattle, man, with Bryce Miller. He has a 5.87 ERA, 1.51 whip. Yeah, I'm going to show you his numbers against the Padres in a second. The Pods, they're pod people. The Fathers. Bryce Miller, I know his numbers look terrible. They look terrible this year, but look at his career numbers, man. 3.87 ERA, 1.11 whip. He was really good last year. In his second season ever in the majors, 2.94 ERA, 0.98 whip. He's trying to come back from injury, and I know there are a lot of things involved in that, but he's nowhere near as bad as his numbers make him look this year. Throughout his career, he's been way better. He's also been way better at home throughout his career. He's still better at home this year, even though it's a 5.11 ERA, but he definitely is better at home, so he has that advantage going for him. I know he just came back from injury again, and he didn't do well, but he had a really tough task having to pitch in Philadelphia in his first start back from another injury. So I'm going to give him a little bit of a pass for that. He actually did okay, went 5 innings, gave up 4 earned runs, but considering the fact that he allowed 2 home runs, it wasn't as bad as it looked. He gave up 4 hits, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. Wasn't too bad, and I expect him to do better this time out. And we know Philadelphia is a good offense. Up against the Padres, who are not as good of an offense. Excuse me, I just clicked on the A's by mistake here. Up against the Padres, his numbers are actually not that... no, I went to the Phillies. What am I saying? His numbers are good against the Padres, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, and 35 at-bats. As Mark was just pointing out, they only have 4 hits against him lifetime. No extra base hits. Their entire lineup hasn't even faced him before. 9 strikeouts, no walks, 114 batting average, and 229 OPS. So it was probably one start that he made last year or something like that, but he has dominated San Diego's hitters, man. So, and a couple of these guys were on different teams as well. So some of those guys saw him in different matchups, but Miller has the way better numbers against this lineup, even though I know Sears does have good numbers here, but Miller's are even better. Although I know it's a smaller sample size, I think Miller's the better pitcher anyway. So again, for all those reasons, we're going with Seattle in that game. And then to finish it off, we're going with the first 5 under in Reds Dodgers, under the 4. This one, we will take the bullpens out of the equation, not just because we can find an under 4 in the first 5 innings here, but these bullpens, man, we don't trust the Dodgers bullpen, although I know their usage has been very weak over the last couple of days, so their bullpen is pretty well rested, so they mostly have their best relievers available here, but their bullpen's not that good. Cincinnati's isn't really that great either, and Cincinnati has used a lot of their bullpen over the last few days, so their usage is a little bit up, so I worry about the bullpens. We'll take them out, and in this game, I actually worry about, because we have 2 young pitchers, I kind of worry about how deep they might go in this game, especially Sheehan for the Dodgers. So we're going first 5 innings for that reason as well, where I think we'll get the best out of these young starters here. When you look at it through that lens, I think we have a good starting pitching duel here. Yes, I know the Dodgers are the best offense in all of baseball. They're the best offense at home in all of baseball, runs per game wise at least. I understand all that, but this game, I think pitching conquers better hitting, man. Yes, the Dodgers have the better offense, but again, we're going to look at the total here. On the side, by the way, if you want to know, LA down from -145 to -133 on the side. 65% of tickets, 92% of the cash on the Dodgers, so they are taking some of the money, which I don't actually agree with that. I would actually probably lean to Cincinnati, having the more proven starter at this point. So maybe Cincinnati first 5 innings, but actually, well, the bullpen kind of evens out. I would say Cincinnati generally has the better bullpen, but with their rest disadvantage that they have in the bullpen, I would probably limit it to first 5 still with Cincinnati if you like Cincinnati. But we're looking at the total, 54% of tickets on the over, 99% of the cash on the under. Money is coming in on the under. So again, I think the money agrees with us on every one of these plays. Totals drop from 8.5 juice to the over all the way down to 8 juice to the under. So we're seeing a significant line move towards the under. So again, you got to try to find this before the best numbers go away here. You might have to pay a little bit more to get this thing under 4. Every run, is pretty valuable when you're going to first 5 inning under here. But looking at the starting pitching here, well, actually, I'll talk about the situation first as well. The Dodgers, they're returning home, man. They went into elevation to the Rockies, and then they played on the road at San Diego. So, yeah, I know they're back in the Pacific time zone, but that was a big weekend series. And again, returning home from a road trip off of a big series, you could be a little bit unfocused, man. So again, I think we have an offense that could be a little bit unfocused here in the Dodgers that might hamper their offense a little bit coming into this one, which is also why I kind of like Cincinnati first 5. Cincinnati's coming in from Arizona. Yes, they're in the middle of a road trip, but Cincinnati's going to show up here, man. They've lost a bunch of games on the road trip, but they did just break a 3-game loss streak with a win yesterday. So that means they broke that losing momentum, which is good for Cincinnati. I think that means that's going to propel them forward. Another reason why I kind of lean to the Cincinnati side here, but also I like their starter a little bit better. But Cincinnati, they're playing for something here, man. They're still in the hunt, at least to try to get a wild card. So they got to show up as well. They're going to show up when they're facing the Dodgers anyway. But again, we're looking at this starting pitching matchup to be a pitching duel. We got one of my favorite guys, man, the vomiter, the puke ball. Hunter Green is on the mound here, and hopefully he's not going to be vomiting all over the place this time unless it helps him. But he has really good numbers, man. 2.63 ERA, 0.93 whip. He was a guy that early in his career, even though his ERA wasn't good yet and whatever, I was looking at his strikeout rate and his strikeout walk numbers. I'm like, man, this guy's going to be good. And he is now, but he's been injured for a bit this season. But his season overall has been really good anyway. He is a little bit worse on the road, or significantly worse, actually. But a 3.66 ERA isn't exactly bad. Since coming back from injury, he's made 2 starts against Philly and the Angels. So a good offense and a mediocre offense. And he has an 18-0 strikeout walk ratio in those 2 outings. 12 1/3 innings pitched, 3 earned runs allowed, all against Anaheim for whatever reason. He shut out Philly the game before that. So that's a good sign. He's in good form, man. 2.19 ERA over that span, 9 hits allowed in those 12 1/3 innings, but the 18-0 strikeout walk ratio is crazy. High strikeout rate, command really good, didn't walk anybody. So Green, he's definitely in good form again. Coming back from injury, he was just immediately in good form. Yes, I know he's facing a really good Dodger offense here, but his numbers have been good against them in the past. In 43 at-bats, 12-1 strikeout walk ratio, 233 average, 692 OPS. Still not really that high, but he has a couple of homers in there to Freeman and Pages, however you pronounce his name, Pages. Pages. Turn and face the green. And then we have Emmett Sheehan pitching for the Dodgers, who is a young, talented pitcher, man, who I think is a little bit better than his numbers would even suggest. 4.17 ERA, 1.24 whip here for the Dodgers. He's been better at home, 3.71 ERA at home. He's still young. He's been a little bit shaky over his last couple of outings. They're both on the road. One was against Anaheim. So for some reason, the Dodgers just really do badly against Anaheim. I don't really know why. And then his last start, maybe you give him a little bit of a pass for that as well, because he was at Colorado. Did still go 6 innings. He gave up 4 earned runs, but his strikeout walk ratio was still good. So even though he does have a 5.06 ERA in 3 starts this month, his command has been good, and I don't think he's really deserving of that ERA. He has an 18-5 strikeout walk ratio this month. Pretty good numbers with that there, that strikeout walk ratio. Hasn't really allowed that many hits either. The home run ball has been a little bit concerning, 4 home runs across those 3 starts, but again, he gave up a couple at Coors Field, so I'm going to give him a little bit of a pass for that. And against the Reds, they're only 1 for 20 lifetime off them. That one hit is a triple from Spencer Steer, but they've done almost nothing other than that. Hayes has a walk, but other than that, they have a 9-1 strikeout walk ratio. 050 batting average and 245 OPS. So Sheehan has done really well against the Reds. So again, we're going to go under first 5 innings in that one. And that's going to complete the show for today, Monday. Usually try to make the show a little bit shorter, but man, I cover every baseball game. So I try to, I'm too autistic about it, man. I try to cover everything. Alejandro, what's up, man? You like the first 5 under? Sweet. Hell yeah, man. I like Hunter Green a lot, man. I like Emmett Sheehan, too, which is why I'm doing it, man. Otherwise, if I only liked Cincinnati, I'd probably be looking towards the Cincinnati first 5 money line, which I do still agree with that as well. But, yeah, the first 5 unders, you got to get the first 5 unders quickly. That's true. Mark, yes. The numbers, fade away from you, so at least I do the show early enough that I think you can get some of the better numbers there. If you can't find it, yeah, it's a tough call, man. You could still go full game on those, but I don't know, man. There's a reason to go first 5 under in some of these, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully we get some wins here today, man. That's going to do it. Again, 4 plays on a Monday is more than I usually have, but I like all of them, actually. We got Baltimore Orioles money line. That's a full game play. All of these are actually full game, except for the last one that I talked about. Minnesota, Toronto, under the total in the full game. You might have to go under 7.5 at this point, but you're still on the better side of the key number 7 if you do that. Seattle Mariners money line. And then first 5 under Reds, Dodgers. That's going to do it, man. Learn to Toad on Twitter, Learn to Toad on Instagram. I put out short-form betting content there. My Twitter is a mess of all random, sports, betting posting, shit posting, political posting, everything. Everything you want, man. Just random jokes, whatever. So check it out there. Bettor Off Dead, of course. Subscribe to the channel here on YouTube, man. Let's get me monetized on the channel finally, and let's not get me demonetized. I'm also on the audio platforms with Bettor Off Dead, so you can give me a good review on Apple and Spotify. Help out the audio there. Covered in Uke is my ukulele project. I post uke videos on Twitter as well. I haven't been doing as much recently because my voice just hasn't been good, and my right index finger is all messed up, I think, from slapping the uke. I think I broke my finger or something. I don't know. Or sprained it at the very least. But we'll see. I got to get back to that. Covered in Uke is on YouTube, though, where I post the Uke content there. I got to go and backlog it, man. I got to really organize my shit because I have a lot of covers that I only posted on Twitter, and then I can finally post them. I've been doing some originals as well. So check it out. And then patreon.com/learntotode, although that's pretty much all Uke content for the bonus stuff right now. You get a Spotify audio feed and then prioritize requests at the highest level. And I'm still meaning on doing live Patreon or maybe just public ukulele request streams as well. I'll just get on camera and play ukulele, and people will just demand requests out of me. And if I can do it, I'll try. But it's guaranteed to be shitty because it's you get to see the process. Similar to if you watch Ass Butt, his show, which I still forget the name of his show. I never remember it, but he does that with, he's a very talented pianist, keyboardist, and singer, and he does that with his stuff. So check it all out. Thanks, guys. Happy Monday. Let's kick off the week on the right note here, and peace for now.